Welcome children, I'm Camille, your favorite host, and today I'm dressed for occasion as we'll do a bit of schooling in math, as we'll take a look at hit chance in Total War games, especially on an example of Rome 2 Total War, although pretty much same thing applies to all Total War games since Rome 2, albeit with slight adjustments for certain values. So what is a hit chance? Well, it's a chance to hit, to land a strike in melee combat. And it's actually made up of melee attack, melee defense, calculation, and few different modifiers for hit chance itself, as well as plethora of side modifiers like being flanked, exhausted, and so on. Although today we'll focus on proper frontal slugfest. Now, in order to understand hit chance, we need to know how calculation works. So to understand it, we need to know what are the core values. In case of base from Total War 2, we have three main parts of hit chance in game files, which is minimum, base, and maximum hit chance. Minimum hit chance, which in Rome 2 is 15%, means that no matter how high melee defense of target is, or how low melee attack of attacker is, it's always going to be at least 15%, no less. Base hit chance is actually hidden melee attack added to melee attack of every unit. So if you see that a unit has like a 30 melee attack, 23 melee attack, like 45 melee attack, you still need to add 40 to it. So now if you have like two units, like for example one having 13 melee attack and other having 80 melee attack, you add 40 to them, and now like the gap between them is not that big, which again makes it look a bit weird when you think about it, but let's not focus on it yet. And then we have maximum hit chance, meaning no matter how high melee attack of attacker is or how low, it's not going to be above 75%, as in example of Rome 2, which again can be different for other games. So now let's do some examples of calculations. So you have two units. First unit that is attacking has 40 melee attack, to which you then add 40 base hit chance, giving it actually 80 melee attack. Now the defender has 50 melee defense, so you subtract 50 from 80, and now you have actual hit chance of 30%. Sounds rather straightforward, and that's the majority of the calculation, to be honest. Like there isn't much more, but it does get a bit weird. Now again, base hit chance is added to melee attack, and you can't have less than 15%. So what if majority of units have actually too high melee defense, like too much of melee defense? And now, does the calculation even work? In some cases it will work, like for example when the defender is getting exhausted and the defense is lowered by fatigue and so on. Of course, yes, now the defense will be much lower. But when you think about it more, it means that a lot of units in Total War actually are not using their melee stats, like melee attack, melee defense at all, or like some upgrades are actually meaningless because you just buff them to the moon, but it actually does not really change their performance, as for example maximum hit chance won't really allow them to use it, or like their melee defense is so high that it's already like too high for any unit to actually be able to score above minimum hit chance. So we can take a look at some examples. For example, take a look at Egyptian or Ptolemaic Egypt melee units. You have their best unit is Galatian Royal Guard, which is a solid unit. And as you can see, it has a lot of melee defense. Now, let's take a guess. So their melee defense is 69. This means that you actually need to also add 15 of a minimum hit chance to it, because again, if you want unit to actually be able to use their melee attack to any advantage, it needs to score above minimum hit chance. So for example, if you have a unit that has 20 attack, you add to it 40 base hit chance, giving it 60 melee attack. When you subtract 69 melee defense of these Galatians, it's -9, but it's getting bumped up to 15% because that's the minimum hit chance. But it means like if you have another unit that has 30 melee attack and then you add 40 to it, it's 70 minus 69 of melee defense, giving you 1, which is again bumped to 15%, making this melee attack actually irrelevant. Okay, another example, you take another unit that has 40 melee attack, so it's twice as much as the unit that had 20 melee attack, and you still add 40 to it, giving you 80 melee attack, which is very large number. Subtract 69 from it. How much is it? 11, which is less than 15 melee minimum hit chance, which is again bumped up to 15. So there's like literally no difference in frontal combat for unit that has 20 melee attack and 40 melee attack going against Galatian Royal Guard. And only once you had unit with like 50 melee attack, now it's starting to kick in, but it's not going to be really high number. And when you take a look at other melee units that Egypt has, now you see that majority of their melee units won't be even able to actually use their higher stats against the Galatian Royal Guard until you reach like thorax swords. And yeah, so it gets tricky. And now take a look, for example, at our Verni, our Gallic boys, and their spear units with some of their war spear units having already like 50 melee attack, and some of their like top guys having more than 70. This means that of course neither of them is able to actually use melee attack properly against each other, and similar thing will happen with most of their sword units that also have very high melee attack on average. So it gives us some weird results. And let's take a look at the last example. Rome. You have crappy Rorari, and you have elite Triari, which only have 31 melee attack, which if you take into account what I already said previously, you add 40 base hit chance to it, giving them actually 71 melee attack, or like 71 hit chance. But again, subtracted from most of units, for example, like, so they need to score above 15% of minimum hit chance, so you subtract 15 from 71 and you end up with 56. Actually, any unit that has more than 56 melee defense is basically impervious to Triari melee attack. At least they won't take any advantage out of their melee attack. And this means that, again, a lot of targets, and as you can see, a lot of units have 55, 56 and more melee defense, especially to take into account campaign bonuses, which are also mostly percentage modifiers, meaning the higher the base value, the bigger the bonus. And if units have small or like low value of melee attack, even if you add crazy bonuses to it, it's still not going to grow as much as high melee defense on many units. So again, this leads to many situations where bonuses or like unit stats are actually irrelevant for the most part, until at least other modifiers kick in. But again, this gives a lot of weird results to us. And again, this is one of the things that a lot of mods are fixing, at least tackling, like for example in Dividend Impera way, or yours truly developed the hit chance system, where actually I thought of it that the lowest melee attack of a unit should, with base hit chance included, should still be able to hit at least 1 point above minimum hit chance when fighting against the strongest unit. So in this case, it means that their stats actually matter, even though like the overall hit chance is still lower in Vida and Impera than in the base game, because the minimum hit chance is just 5% there, with base attack being 25%. And again, that's it. Hopefully you got a lot of knowledge from this video, and do not delve too much into some of the weird stuff related to a variety of other modifiers, because again, it's a whole you don't want to get into, especially into add campaign bonus where you have Triari with like 125 melee defense, which becomes useless because it's too high to even be used against anything, or like units with having some crazy melee attack, which also is like useless because they can't really use it above like maximum hit chance. Okay, that's it. Do your homework from this video, take some notes, and hopefully you'll be able to use it and view stats in much more clear way. Until next time.